Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, we will continue reading the introduction by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So first of all, we will do the prayers. Om Yajnatimirandasya
Om Ajnanatimirandasya
Jnana Sadakaya
Jnana Jana Shalakaya
Chakshurunmilitam Yena
Chakshuranmilitam Yena
Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah
Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam
Shri Chaitanya Manobhishta
Sapitam Yena Bhutale
Stapitam Yena Bhutale
Swayam Rupa Kadamayam
Swayam Rupa Kadamayam
Dadati Swapadantikam
Swadhati Swapadantikam.
He Krishna Karuna Sindhu
He Krishna Karuna Sindhu
Dinabandhu Jagatpate
Dinabandhu Jagatpate
Gopesha Gopika Kanta
Gopesha Gopika Kanta
Radha Kanta Namostute
Radha Kanta Namostute
Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi
Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi
Radhe Vrindavaneshwari
Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari
Vishvano Sute Devi
Vrishabhanu Sute Devi
Pranamami Hari Priya
Pranamami Hari Priye
Vanchakalparupyasya
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha
Kripa Sindhavevacha
Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha
Patitanam Pavanebhyo
Patitanam Bhavnebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhara
Shri Advaita Gadadhara
Shri Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Srimad Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Okay, for the last few days we have been following the introduction and we have reached almost more than half of it, and so today we will continue from, I think it's, has everyone got the Gita in front of them? It is a chapter, it's a paragraph beginning with, in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. In this book it is on page 21. I don't know of the others. Page 21. Has everyone found it? Okay, let me start. In the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the real picture of the material world is given. It is said that Udva Mulam Ada Sakam Aswadham Prahur Avyayam Chandamsi Yasna Parnani Yastam Veda Sevadavid. Here, the material world is described as a tree whose roots are upwards and branches are below. We have experience of a tree whose roots are upward. If one stands on the bank of a river or any reservoir of water, he can see that the trees reflected in the water are upside down. The branches go downward and the roots upward. Similarly, this material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. The material world is but a shadow of reality. In the shadow, there is no reality or substantiality. But from the shadow, we can understand that there are substance and reality. In the desert, there is no water, but the mirage suggests that there is such a thing as water. In the material world, there is no water, there is no happiness, but the real water of actual happiness is there in the spiritual world. The Lord suggests that we attain the spiritual world in the following manner. Bhagavad Gita 15:5. Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivrata kama danvya vimukta sukha dukkha samjana vachanti amuda padam avyayam tat. That padam avyayam or eternal kingdom can be reached by one who is nirmana moha. What does this mean? We are after designations. Someone wants to be called Sir, someone wants to become Lord, someone wants to become the president, or a rich man, or a king, or something else. As long as we are attached to these designations, we are attached to the body because designations belong to the body. But we are not these bodies. And realizing this is the first stage in spiritual realization. We are associated with the three modes of material nature. But we must become detached through devotional service to the Lord. If we are not attached to devotional service to the Lord, then we cannot become detached from the modes of material nature. Designations and attachments are due to our lust and desire, our wanting to lord it over material nature. As long as we do not give up this propensity of lording it over material nature, there is no possibility of returning to the kingdom of the Supreme, the Sanatan Dham. That eternal kingdom, which is never destroyed, can be approached by one who is not bewildered by the attractions of false material enjoyments, who is situated in the service of the Supreme Lord. One so situated can easily approach the Supreme abode. Elsewhere in the Gita it is stated, Avyayukta Akshara iti uktvas tam ahu paramam gatim ya prapade na nivrantete tad dham paramam mama. Avyakta means unmanifested. Not even all the material world is manifested before us. Our senses are so imperfect that we cannot even see all the stars within this material universe. In the Vedic literature, we can receive much information about all the planets, and we believe it or not believe it. All the important planets are described in the Vedic literatures, especially Srimad Bhagavatam in the spiritual world, which is beyond this material sky. It is described as avyakta, unmanifested. One should desire and hanker after that supreme kingdom, for when one attains that kingdom, he does not have to return to this material world. So basically, this is what chapter 15 is telling us. First of all, we should go a little back to what chapter 12 says. Chapter 12 is basically concluding that the path to Bhagwan is through bhakti. Then in chapter 13, again it is highlighted because the other terms are how does this body, which has got, there are 6 questions which are asked in chapter 13, which states that how does it connect and how do we get to Bhagwan. Chapter 14 is further highlighting that there are 3 modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And you have to rise above that. You have to have the virtues to get above that so that you can reach Bhagwan. So now in chapter 15, Bhagwan is giving a description of what it is. And he's starting with what is called an upside down tree or the banyan tree, which is been stated there. The entanglement of this material world is compared to a banyan tree, right? It is an artificial tree. There is no such thing as that tree. It is being stated to make you understand what it is. There is no such a tree. Describing the material tree. That is just to represent the material layout of this universe. This tree does not exist. This tree is upside down. What do you mean when it is upside down? It is when the roots are on top. All the trees which you see have roots which are going down. But this tree has roots which are going upwards. The branches are normally up, but in here the branches are down. They can also turn back and go up. This is a very complicated tree. The branches are at the bottom and the twigs are the sense objects. That is what attracts us for to do and stay on behind in this material world. So twigs are the sense objects and the leaves are Vedic hymns. This has been stated in 15.1 and 15.2 onwards. It says there is no end to this tree and it is very, very deep rooted. You know, the tree is continuing, it is going on and on. I mean, you are not able to escape from the tree unless you make a determined effort. One keeps on wandering from one branch to another, just like a monkey. You know, there are 14 layers in our universe. There are 14 layers. We are on the 7th layer. But you can, all are called material world. So you can go from the highest to the lowest, but you cannot escape from these 14 layers unless you go and do devotional service. So these 14 layers bind you, and in all of them, the same things are happening. You are being born, you have old age, disease, death, that thing, miseries are all there in all those layers. It is only when you escape from that that you are free from this. So you keep on wandering from one branch to another, just like a monkey. You're flowing there and there and there. So how to get some idea of this type of a tree? Where can you see it? So the given example is that if you are standing next to some reservoir of water, a lake or a river or something, and there is a tree next to it, and if you can see the reflection of the tree in the water, it will appear as it is stated. The roots are on top, the branches are down. That is just what you can imagine. So what it is actually trying to say is that the spiritual world is the real world. The spiritual world is the real world. And as if there is a mirror there and it's reflecting, and that reflection is shown in our material world. But in our material world will be completely opposite to what it is in the spiritual world. So this is what the explanation is given at 15.1. So similar to the reflection of the spiritual world versus desire. We are stuck here because we desire, we want to lord over these things. So we are stuck here. It's like if you have, let's say, an apple. You have an apple in the real world, and you put a mirror to it, you'll see the reflection of the apple in that thing, in the reflection. Both will look the same, they'll both look nice, but you cannot touch that apple. You cannot eat that apple. You cannot get the enjoyment of that apple because it is artificial, it is false. Similar, what is in the spiritual world is a reflection which is here. So, what we are enjoying here is not the true enjoyment which we are seeking. So, this is what is meant when it is a reflection from the spiritual to our material. So, it says, then if we are going to be trapped in here, then there must be a solution to this. And the solution is the only way to cut this tree is by the sword of detachment. When you start detaching, now detaching means a lot of things. So first of all, you have to start staying away from sense gratification. So detachment from material enjoyment or sense gratification leads to attachment to Krishna consciousness. Yeah? We have basically two paths. There are two paths. Detach from sense objects, sense gratification. That will lead to surrender to Krishna. When you stay away from sense objects, stay detached from them, you will surrender to Krishna. That is one path. The other path is you surrender to Krishna, and automatically it will lead to detachment. So, either way, detachment is necessary to get away. First of all, once you do that, then only once you clear all the rubbish, then the fresh, when through devotional service, you get attached to Krishna. So this is the method which has been shown. This surrendering process is, is to basically develop love for God. Right? That is what exactly is surrendering to Krishna. What is devotional service? We say it is bhakti. Bhakti is this is basically to improve your love for God. So these are I'm going very fast. These are not much. Okay, is to become lower than a blade of grass. That is a process. That is when you become humble. Humility is one of the 20 virtues, and the most important virtue which has been stated, I think in chapter 14, 13, sorry, in 13 it says that there are 20 virtues which a person should develop in order to reach Krishna. And one of the prime one is that humility, to become like a blade of grass. People walk over it and it does not complain. You keep on traveling, you crushing it, you doing this, it doesn't. And he says not to become like a thorn. That if you become like a thorn and someone puts on it, that person is going to curse you. And so you become like a blade of grass. In short, become very, very insignificant. Only then you be able to take in the, the teachings which are required for you to understand bhakti. Secondly, is to become tolerant like a tree. You have a tree, it gives, it's in the sun, it's in the wind, it stands there. It does not cause any problems to anyone. You become tolerant like a tree. Its fruits are taken, it will tolerate everything. So become like a blade of grass or become like a tree where you tolerate. And finally, do not expect any respect. Do not expect any respect, but give respect to all others. Now, these three are just ways of trying to develop humility. And so, in this, what we have just read, it says about designations, designations which we are having, that, oh, I am the boss of this thing, I am so and so. That takes you away from bhakti. It takes you, because you become aloof, you become arrogant. So this is against your riding towards bhakti. So basically, this is all which I have to cover in these things, and we will continue later on, tomorrow and other days. So we just say Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Granth Raj Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare